Hey, so I got a bit of bad news. As you know, the FAA is a bit understaffed as of lately, so I'm going to be assigning you some more tasks. Probably the biggest one right now is the NOTAMs, the Notice to Air missions. I'm gonna need you to synchronize the database for that. This should be a simple task, so just don't screw it up.
You got it, boss. You know, I'm a professional. I've been in the business 10 years. It'll be done fast so you can say missing file. Oh, okay, so you're not gonna believe this.
Alaska 31, Kennedy?
Yes, sir.
Full short of full left. I have some disappointing news. Apparently there's some kind of system-wide outage and everything stopped for 2 hours, all aircraft in the NAS. Well, I don't know exactly what's going on, but as soon as I find out more, I'm going to let you know.
Okay, we'll be standing by.
My name is Rafael, and I will be introducing the Notam or Notice to Air mission system, as well as the events that occurred on January 10th in 2023 when it failed. The Notice to Air mission system, as stated by the FAA, is a notice containing information essential to personnel concerned with flight operations not known far enough in advance to be publicized by other means. Basically, it's an alert system that contains relevant information for pilots and airport crew established so that they can communicate about potential obstructions and events that can interfere with flight paths, like icings, people parachuting, and runway construction. Notam failed at 3:30 p.m. on Tuesday, January 10, 2023, and it wasn't fixed until the following Wednesday at 9 in the morning. The failure resulted due to a corrupt database file that was implemented by unspecified personnel who didn't follow governmental procedures and guidelines that specify the files of that type should not be changed on a live system. The impact of their actions resulted in a halt of all flight departures Wednesday morning for 30 minutes, which then caused 1,300 flight cancellations and 10,000 delays by early afternoon. Certain parts of Notam are about 30 years old, and the system hasn't been updated due to its multi-billion-dollar cost and lengthy implementation timeframe across all airports in the United States.
Hi, I'm Dylan Field, a part of Group 29, and I'll be covering the ACM General Ethical Principles in regards to the NOTAM failure. The principle that was violated was Principle 1.2, Avoid Harm. To simplify the dense language from the code, harm is defined as any kind of negative consequence which can be seen in how the grounding of flights affected the scheduling of people's vacations and business trips around the country. And that undoubtedly caused some level of mental harm as the passengers had no option but to wait for the systems to be repaired. This principle also explicitly states that well-intended actions that cause harm are in violation of the code if not all precautions are taken to avoid, mitigate, and undo the harm caused. Even though it was just an oversight from a worker that caused this to happen, the damage was done, and the situation was preventable. That person violated the ACM Code of Ethics due just to negligence.
Now let's dive into the FAA's failure to fulfill professional responsibilities in the ACM Code of Ethics. The FAA failed to uphold Section 2.1, which states professionals must achieve high quality in both the processes and products of their work. Professionals should be aware of how poor quality work will affect stakeholders, in this case, pilots and passengers. By this point, however, the FAA had been struggling to modernize, with their air traffic control systems still using paper flight strips to keep track of air traffic. A modern traffic system should include robust development environments using the latest technologies to make flights safer and more efficient. While a lack of administrative oversight on modification permissions caused the NOTAM incident, it was symptomatic of the FAA's inability to modernize. Furthermore, the FAA also failed to uphold Section 2.9, which states that professionals must design and implement systems that are robustly and usably secure. Part of creating robust and secure systems is managing access control, that is, who can do what. Contractor workers weren't denied file permissions to delete information from the NOTAM database and were thus able to delete a key database file, compromising the system. In a secure development environment, contracted personnel would have only received permission to transfer files, thus avoiding the error that caused the NOTAM incident in the first place.
My name is Simon, and I'll be talking about the professional leadership principles given in the ACM Code of Ethics. The first principle I'll be talking about is 3.3, Manage Personnel and Resources to Enhance the Quality of Working Life. Reports about this incident mention that the staff in charge of the FAA's systems were overworked and understaffed. If the program had been fully staffed, the systems would have been maintained better and the personnel would have been able to perform their responsibilities better and with more care. Therefore, this issue may not have occurred in the first place if this principle was followed. The second principle to discuss is 3.7, Recognize and take special care of systems that have become integrated into the infrastructure of society. This principle states that even the simplest computer systems have the potential to impact all aspects of society when integrated with everyday activities such as commerce, travel, government, healthcare, and education. Our country is very reliant on air travel for everyday functions, including all of these listed in the principle. Planes have become a part of our lives. Therefore, more time, resources, and manpower should have been allocated to the system to begin with. Better care overall, like what the ACM Code of Ethics outlines and endorses, could have prevented this incident from occurring.
My name is Nicolas, and I'm going to be wrapping up a presentation on the FAA Notam outage and how it pertains to the ACM Code of Ethics and Professional Responsibilities. Found behind me here are the specific sections within the ACM Code of Ethics that the FAA did not adhere to, and is ultimately what led to the situation happening in the first place. Now, just because this situation didn't result in the loss of life or the loss of property, it still inconvenienced a lot of air travelers that day, and is ultimately what led to the first ground stop of all air traffic within the United States since 9/11, just to put that into perspective. Now, going forward, following the ACM Code of Ethics and Professional Responsibilities to avoid situations like this should hopefully lead to a less turbulent future.